Alright, so let me walk you through a real scenario to show you how the routing works. Say you want to fetch a report, but you didn't provide enough info. Maybe you forgot the venue ID or some date. So what the request analyzer does is that it recognizes that it's missing required parameters and responds by asking you for them. So the graph starts, request analyzer recognizes that there are missing parameters and asks you for them. The graph ends. So now you provide the necessary parameters, required fields, and the graph starts again. In this case, since we're using LangGraph checkpointers, which is backed up by PostgresSaver, it gets your previous messages through a thread ID and adds it to your new message and passes the whole thing to your request analyzer. So now your request analyzer has your previous messages and newly provided information. So it has everything it needs to call the API. So do note that request analyzer, we have binded tools to the request analyzer, and we can see it over here that the request analyzer, the analyzer chain, is binded with API call tool, semantic search tool, and Reddit format. Alright, so in this case, the request analyzer doesn't go to tool call node to call the API. It just calls the API within this node, and after calling the API, it gets the response and the whole thing routes to tool call. Now, what tool call does, if you look here, route after tools, tool call at in this case the tool call did not see any messages, any tool messages for a Reddit format. So what tool call does is that it routes back to request analyzer. Now, in this case, the request analyzer sees the whole thing and calls Reddit format, which is just a tool to signal that the response, API response, is ready to be formatted and be presented to the user. So after it routes back to request analyzer, the request analyzer calls ready to format tool, which is just a signal, and routes to tool call again. This time the tool call sees that the last message is a tool message and it's Reddit format. So when it's a Reddit format, it goes to the make API response readable node, which formats the API response and presents it to the user in a readable manner.